Hi, I'm Angela. This video is part of the Healthy Relationship series, and it's all about balancing your needs with the needs of your partner. So this ability to balance your needs and the needs of your partner actually comes easy to some people and comes really hard to others. So I was fascinated by why would some people find it easier to have your needs met and have your partner's met and find the place in between where both needs are met. And one of the factors that I found contributed to this was that when the individual partners have a really clear understanding of what the relationship needs for them to be together, then they are much more comfortable in their own individual needs. The whole purpose for a marriage or a long-term committed relationship is that you want to spend time with the person. If that commitment starts to compromise the individual needs of the people, then it actually seems like a risk or something that's a burden, potentially, or something that you feel like you can't change. If you actually understand that the time that you're spending together is something that's enlivening, it gives you something nourishing, it gives you something to develop and grow, then it becomes a resource for the individuals. So often what happens is we go into unconscious, programmed, conditioned ideas of meeting the needs of our partner. So if you copy your parents, which most humans do, we're like the monkeys, monkey see, monkey do. We learn about meeting the needs of our partners from copying our parents, just like monkeys learn about nurturance and child rearing and family creations from their parents. We're the same in that manner. And the only thing that changes that is self-awareness, which is a different piece of humans from monkeys. So if you've gone into a relationship from conditioned responses of what you should do for your wife or what you should do for your husband or your partner, that's going to be one of the areas where you'll come into potential conflict. Because if you've had parents that were sacrificial, didn't look after their needs, then you're going to end up doing that unconsciously in your relationship. Now, we're a lot more aware and savvy these days about how we copy our parents' behavior. And also you'll get to the point, especially if you have kids, that hell no, I don't want to raise my kid because I didn't like the way I got treated like that. So you may unconsciously do some of the same things in your relationship and it'll hit you. And you go, I don't want to do that. So how do you actually shift from doing unconscious sacrificial behaviors to have some concept of the relationship survive instead of what would be nourishing and thriving for you? You do need a vision of the relationship that both partners share something in. You don't have to agree about everything about what the relationship is supposed to be, but you have to have some exciting, passionate, and almost tantalizing view of what this relationship offers to both. And that will be affected by life events and tragedies or changes in career and other things, children and moving countries, whatever. That will affect the vision of the relationship. However, that needs to have some sort of life to it as well. We sometimes look at relationships as very static, and that's definitely true for some sort of basic elements of the relationship, like going to buy the groceries. That's a pretty stable thing that happens in most families and homes. But the relationship itself is much more than just providing food and nourishment. There's a lot of other areas that the relationship can do for stimulation, for entertainment, for cultural awareness, for cultural growth or sharing, for exploring the world, for building other relationships, for building community. So as a couple, when you've got a clearer sense of that synastry that you might have together, what overlaps between you and what you want to move into the future with, you've got a lot more solid ground to balance then how to meet you and your partner's needs. Because then you know, well, we need some time. We need some time to give the relationship, to explore things, to build things. We need time to develop that part of the relationship. We need to give it a priority as a part of my individual needs. And that's been the way I've seen to move out of old patterns of how you should be in a relationship And of course, perhaps the most simplest way to get out of the trap of falling into conditioned patterns of sacrificing your needs or expecting your partner to sacrifice their needs for you is to laugh. Because sometimes when you start to be aware that maybe I'm doing things just from a habit of expectation, you can actually change your perception on the habit first by laughing about how conditioned you are in that certain habit. What I think holds a lot of people back and a lot of partners in relationships back is that when they discovered that they come from a conditioned way of behaving that came from their family or culture, they tend to think that that's who they are. And it's not. It's really just the way that you've been conditioned. It could have been funny for you or nurturing for you when you grew up, or it could have been annoying for you. And my conditioning definitely was all three of those. But having an awareness about it helps me to change. And I'll give a really minuscule, annoying detail. In my family, my mother was very meticulous about crumbs from when you eat bread or any crackers or biscuits, crumbs being left on the table. So much so that all of us, except for my father, who was the main culprit of making those crumbs, all of us were terrified of having crumbs left on the table at any time of the day, breakfast, noon, dinner, or midnight snacks. So we would meticulously wipe up after ourselves because of fear of the yelling of our mother. To this day, I still have that conditioned response. And to this day with my partner, he manages to break that mold that I have by leaving crumbs. And I ask him to leave them on purpose sometimes just so I can laugh at my own conditioned response that shouldn't be there, and how dare you disrespect me that way by leaving them there, which is what my mother was telling us most of the time. So it was really good for me to just really feel in my body the frustration that my partner has this behavior that really just riles every cell in my body, but understand that that's not actually me. It's a conditioned response. It's a need I have to fulfill my mother's anxiety of having crumbs, but it's not my need. So even though my cells are still shaking when I see the crumbs there, I can laugh about it, I can have some perspective on it, and then I can ask for a different response, and then I get to laugh about it with my partner as well.